because I don't want to be Herbert Hoover.
Stop immigration and force migrants to leave. Isn't that going to be inflationary?
Of course. When you see tariffs like that, obviously you think about 1929.
Be Herbert Hoover.
You can say what you want about the fattest president since William Howard Taft. He's Teflon, he's unapologetic, he's a cockwaffle.
Terrorizing our communities.
But one thing you cannot say about the First Lady? Well, you can't say he's a good businessman. Going way back, his professor at Wharton saw it, said he was the dumbest goddamn student he ever had. Former head of the Fed, Janet Yellen, she said Trump had no concept at all of macroeconomics. And of course, you know, there's those 6 bankruptcies.
I'm really a good businessman. I'm so good at business. Oh.
Not true. Trump is a business failure. Almost every business he's touched, he's driven into the ground.
When it comes to great steaks, I've just raised the stakes. Trump Steaks are the world's greatest steaks, and the Sharper Image is the only store where you can buy them.
According to Sharper Image's then CEO, they literally sold almost no steaks.
Trump had a failed board game.
My new game is Trump, the game.
Trump, the game, because it's not whether you win or lose, it's whether you win.
A failed bicycle race called Tour de Trump. A failed football team.
It's going to stay strong. It's going to stay strong for a long time.
Trump decided it was a good idea to start a mortgage company in 2006.
It's a great time to start a mortgage company.
That failed in less than 2 years. Let's see, what else was there?
Whatever happened to Trump Airlines?
Oh, that was a good one. One of his planes had a crash landing within the first 2 months, which he insisted was the most beautiful landing you've ever seen. The business failed within 3 years.
How about Trump University?
Failed.
And then there's Trump Magazine.
Failed.
Trump Vodka.
Failed.
Trump Travel, Trump Ice, Trump Network.
Failed, failed, failure. Trump has even managed to bankrupt multiple casinos. How do you lose money running a casino? There's an old joke that the easiest way to make a small fortune is to start with a large one. And that's exactly what Trump did. Multiple analyses show that if Trump had simply invested his multi-million-dollar inheritance in an index fund and didn't touch it, he'd be a lot richer than he is now. Now think about that. His entire life's work has been less successful than if he'd done nothing. And when he was president, Trump ran the country like he ran his failed businesses. He added $8.4 trillion to the national debt, largely through his tax cuts for the rich and big corporations. The whole idea that Trump is good at business was a carefully crafted illusion, concocted for a reality TV show. And like a lot of reality TV shows, we've come to learn it was all show and no reality. The only business Trump has been successful at is conning people. Now he's trying to do it again.
The truth is, he's failed at everything except grifting, and that's why we are where we are. He convinced 75 million waterheads that D.C. was a swamp and he would drain it. Instead, he's draining your investments and your future. Hey, but don't take my word. Ask CNBC's Jim Cramer.
Maybe, though, what really happened today is that things have simply gotten too negative. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink, who writes an annual chairman's letter required reading for anyone in the markets, wrote some fateful words today. Quote, I hear it from nearly every client, nearly every leader, nearly every person I talk to. They're more anxious about the economy than any time in recent memory, end quote. I come back and say, I believe that. I believe that wholeheartedly. But let's think about what that really means for you and me. We have declining inflation, except the president's putting on inflationary tariffs. We have incredibly low unemployment, except where it's caused by the Trump administration. We have a market that was doing extremely well last year until the Trump administration sowed a level of uncertainty that I can't recall any time since, are you ready, ski daddy, Jimmy Carter, which is the last time people were really worried about inflation, about stagflation, okay? Back then, stagflation was real. Now, Jimmy Carter, curious benchmark. Break out the cardigan sweater. I know it's a brutal comparison. You think I did it idly? I cannot think of another president in my lifetime who could knock down the stock market simply by opening his mouth than Jimmy Carter. Eureka! I have found him. So let's look at it this way. Everything about this economy is good. Everything, except one thing. We have a president who's very angry at everyone except Vladimir Putin. Oh, no, maybe even Vladimir Putin. And his wrath has made investors so downcast and so negative that people have just given up. They want nothing to do with stocks, nothing to do with this world, because they're sure the White House will keep laying on the tariffs that seem to be wiping out your wealth and my wealth. In this environment, it's a wonder anyone's buying anything, unless they think that the one person who's standing in the way of a great economy, one that could have incredible growth with lowered inflation, lower oil prices, less regulation, more confidence, will finally change the stripes.
All right, a couple points here. Trump has always equated the market with the nation's growth. He takes credit when it's up and points fingers when it's down.
With 4 more years of Kamala, your finances will never recover. They will only get worse. They're only going to get worse. The stock market, and you have some of the most brilliant people on Wall Street saying this, the stock market is only up because they think I'm going to win. And if we don't win, according to many people, including one of the greatest Wall Street prognosticators, named Scott Bessent. Has anyone heard of him? One of the most brilliant guys on Wall Street. If I don't win, you will have a 1929 style depression. Enjoy it. I believe that. I believe that.
That didn't age well. But let's examine what's actually happening here and why. Trump is freaking out the business world, the entire world, by doing everything he can to sink the markets and curb investment enthusiasm. And it's working.
And our new Fox News polling shows that people perhaps are concerned with how things are going. This is as of March 14th. Those that say they disapprove, 56%, more than half. Those who approve of the president's handling of the economy is at 43%. And in that same polling, we asked about the most important issue facing the country today, and top of the list is inflation.
Trump started his attacks on Mexico and Canada by claiming they were allowing drugs and human traffickers unfettered access to the U.S. But as we learned, less than 0.1% of fentanyl comes from Canada, and Mexico has tightened their border presence as well. Oh, and by the way, the Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, he has a bachelor's degree in economics from Harvard and then studied at Oxford, where he earned a master's degree and a doctorate in '95. Mexico's president, Claudia Sheinbaum, she has a doctorate in engineering, and last year Forbes ranked her as the 4th most powerful woman in the world. And Trump, he bankrupted a casino. But Trump is most vulnerable when you call him on his fake business acumen.
Here's the good news. I'm very rich.
Is he rich? He owes billions to banks, and his Trump brand is sagging like his flabby man titties.
The president will be implementing tomorrow a 25% tariffs on Mexico, 25% tariffs on Canada, and a 10% tariff on China for the illegal fentanyl that they have sourced and allowed to distribute into our country, which has killed tens of millions of Americans.
Tens of millions of deaths? Look, opioids are a killer and dangerous, but the numbers are in the low thousands. Look, they just make numbers up, and you don't have to do that unless you suck at business, which Trump does.
I'm a very stable genius.
Honestly, you couldn't self-destruct like Trump if you tried. But fortunately for him, well, so far anyway, he's a world-class liar, a grifter. He lies about his finances. He lies about his successes. He lies about the economy. But unlike other presidents who lied, he has Fox News on his side.
What we're going to do is, in the new tax bill that has to pass, it absolutely has to pass, we're going to provide tax benefits, tax credits to the people who buy American cars. This is a genius thing that President Trump promised on the campaign trail. So that's going to happen. In addition, the other tariffs are going to raise about $600 billion a year, about $6 trillion over a 10-year period. And we're going to have tax cuts. It's the biggest tax cut in American history for the middle class, for the blue collar.
Now, anyone who knows anything about macroeconomics understands tariffs, and especially these tariffs, not just on China, who steals intellectual property without even trying to hide it, but these tariffs are on our friends and allies. Maybe we should have known when Trump said this about NATO.
No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want.
The EU is a valuable trading partner, not to mention an extremely valuable source of information for our national security. But Trump is attacking them with tariffs that make no sense. And Canada and Mexico, they're fighting back with tariffs of their own that will especially hurt Americans. Everything from whiskey to cars to timber. It's going to be extremely inflationary. And when you add inflation to a sagging economy, you get stagflation. And when Cramer mentioned Carter, remember when that inflation started? It started with OPEC and higher gas prices in '73. Jerry Ford used to wear a win button, whip inflation now. Carter inherited inflation, 17% interest on car loans, and it cost him the presidency. But Trump inherited declining inflation numbers and a robust stock market and a rising GDP. So why is he doing this? He brags that he had the greatest economy in the world back in 2017.
And the reason some people think, wow, I don't know, I remember that economy when he first came in being pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good, because it was my economy.
Then, of course, Trump's response to COVID guaranteed a longer recession than necessary.
I wanted to always play it down.
See, that's a problem right there. He's dishonest. But lastly, why is he enacting tariffs that are bad for Germany, France, the UK, Japan, China, Mexico, and Canada? I mean, they're bad for everyone. Well, not everyone. With the world falling into the shitter, there is one country smiling.
Russia, if you're listening.
Goddamn right. Are your leaders incompetent, unqualified people compromising national security?
Yes! Yes! Yes!
It's not fair.
They had what? Bloated and fat and disgusting.
I like that.
We're a nation that speaks English.
Look, if something like that thing start goggling.
I don't want to talk about this stuff.
Am I wrong?
Yes!
Tick-tock!
You're in a lot of trouble, Donnie.
I think he's crazy.
I'm Chip Franklin.